Well, hey everyone, Bill Sickert with the LPG credit program. A lot of you have asked me the question of really how secure is this or safe, or what's the risk more importantly? And I really want to share who I am and what brought me into the world was the value of work and the value of money. So I always share the first job I had, which actually was a couple, and I was in my early teens and cleaned meat departments for a living. I know you're thinking like, you look pretty clean. Well, I wasn't back then, that's for sure. And I did that along with a paper route. And in both of those jobs, I was able to save enough money because I was interested in getting a motorcycle for racing motocross. And my dad had already gotten one for me, and I kind of beat that thing up pretty good and wanted a new one. So he said, instead of going through with this, just like we did the first one, why don't you earn it? So I did. And that taught me a huge lesson on the value of money in my life, but it also taught me the value of things that come from that. And I can tell you that that motorcycle, when I was a teenager, is still in my garage today, many years later. And I didn't always have it. That's a whole nother story. They even made a short movie out of it. So anyway, that's about me and how I look at things. So with LPG, it was no different. I approached them and said, all right, so typical questions. How are you protected? How are you insured? Let's talk a little bit about that. And the company said, well, before we go there, I'm like, are you dodging this? They go, oh, no. First of all, the credit program has a security for it. And if you own a house, the security for your mortgage is your home. So believe it or not, you don't own your home. The bank does until that last day. Otherwise, they have a lien on your property as long as that mortgage exists. Not something you wanted to hear, but it is a very exacting thing about an asset. And in California, for instance, that could be $1 to $2 million very easily. And the note on that might be an obligation of paying $1 million or $500,000 or whatever it may be. So with that, that's that security. LPG has $500 million in security in the form of real accounting receivables that secures this program. So that's a big house for anybody to discuss. So that was very comforting for me. I didn't really need to know all the big numbers, but the bigger they are, the better for me. So that was one very comforting thing. Then the question was liability insurance. And I'm like, yeah, I hope you have. Well, actually, Bill, we have 3 major policies. And in their group is an errors and omissions policy, a director and officer policy, of which the signer of your credit contract is one of those, and a general liability policy regarding the actual operations of a business, and then special aspects including law. So what we call this in the legal community is they're well papered, but what it means is they're covered and they actually have these policies. And I threw one out. I said, so would it be possible to share these with people? They said, sure. So we have those on our website, the policies, and that's how open they are. And the other thing I thought of, and I want to share this with you as well, from a business point of view, it's like, okay, when could this end? Or when does this go away? And unfortunately, in our economy and in our culture in the United States, we're a very credit-driven culture and economy. You can go to many other countries and the thought of even getting an automobile loan is unheard of. And even in certain countries I've been in, the thought of using a credit card to pay later, they all use ATM cash cards. So it's interesting to come to the United States where half the country is way under in credit. The average credit amount per family, per person actually, is $6,000. That's on a credit card. So we really go way out there. And as a result of that, there's always a risk. And it creates business for what LPG does for a business, which is protect people when they do get into trouble. It's either a good economy that allows for a lot of spending, and then suddenly there's a downturn and you don't have that money to spend. So this is kind of a guaranteed, no matter what happens, our business flourishes. So with that, those are the protections, the risk mitigation factors that I really like to see, and I hope that's helpful to you.